You probably believe something right now that isn't true, and you don't even know which thing it is. Maybe it's something small, like thinking your phone battery lasts longer in airplane mode, or that you can see the Great Wall of China from space. Maybe it's something bigger, an assumption about a friend, a conviction about how the world works, or a story you tell yourself about who you are. Right now, sitting wherever you are, some belief in your mind is completely wrong. And here's the unsettling part. It feels just as true as everything else you know. Take a moment and scan through your beliefs, your certainties, the things you bet money on, your opinions about other people, your assumptions about how the world works. Somewhere in there, lurking among the facts you trust most, is something completely false. This isn't a personal failing. It's not about intelligence or education. Some of the smartest people in history held beliefs that seem absurd to us now. Aristotle thought heavy objects fall faster than light ones. Doctors once believed washing hands was unnecessary. Entire civilizations built their understanding of the universe around completely wrong assumptions. And they felt just as certain as you feel right now. How did we get here? How did creatures capable of landing on the moon and splitting atoms become so reliably wrong about so many things? The answer starts 300,000 years ago, when being right wasn't nearly as important as staying alive. Our ancestors didn't survive by being philosophers. They survived by making split-second decisions in a world full of predators and uncertainty. If you heard rustling in the bushes, you didn't stop to consider all possibilities. You ran. Better to flee from a harmless rabbit than become lunch for a saber-toothed tiger. This survival mechanism is still running your brain today. We're pattern-seeking machines, constantly connecting dots whether those connections exist or not. We'd rather be wrong and safe than right and dead. Your brain is essentially a prediction engine that never stops running. It takes incomplete information and fills in the gaps with the most likely explanation based on past experience. This worked brilliantly for survival, but it's terrible for accuracy. Think about walking into a dark room. You don't consciously analyze every shadow and shape. Your brain instantly constructs a complete picture of the space, filling in details it can't actually see. Most of the time, this works fine. But sometimes you'll walk confidently toward what you think is a chair and slam into a coffee table. Your beliefs work the same way. You encounter fragments of information, a news headline, a conversation, a personal experience, and your brain weaves them into a complete story. The story feels true because your brain designed it to feel true. But stories aren't facts. Think about your own life. Remember the last time you were absolutely certain about something that turned out to be false? Maybe you were convinced that restaurant was terrible based on one bad experience, only to discover later that you'd gone on their worst day. Or you were sure your friend was ignoring you when they were actually dealing with a family crisis they hadn't shared yet. We do this constantly. We fill in gaps with assumptions. We mistake correlation for causation. We trust our first impressions like they're scientific facts. Maybe you've convinced yourself you're bad at math because of one embarrassing moment in third grade. Or you believe a certain political party is evil because of a few extreme examples you've seen online. Perhaps you're sure you can tell when someone is lying by their body language, even though research shows most people are terrible at this. These aren't just random errors. They follow predictable patterns that reveal how our minds actually work. Consider the placebo effect, one of the most fascinating examples of belief shaping reality. Give someone a sugar pill and tell them it's powerful medicine, and their brain can actually produce real healing responses. Their belief becomes biochemically real, even though the pill contains nothing but sugar. This isn't stupidity. It's the incredible power of human consciousness to influence physical reality through belief alone. But it also shows how our brains don't distinguish between true and useful the way we think they do. In the 1700s, philosopher David Hume noticed something profound about human nature. He realized we don't actually believe things because of careful reasoning. We believe them because of habit and association. If two things happen together often enough, our brains automatically connect them. Hume called this the problem of induction. Just because the sun has risen every day for your entire life doesn't logically prove it will rise tomorrow. But your brain treats this pattern as absolute certainty because that's how pattern recognition works. It assumes the future will resemble the past. This creates what Hume called custom or habit, the tendency to believe something simply because we've experienced it repeatedly. It's why lucky socks work, why superstitions persist, and why we trust people who look like other people we've trusted before. But Hume's insight goes deeper. He argued that reason alone is powerless to motivate action. We don't do things because logic tells us to. We do them because we feel compelled to. Our beliefs aren't just intellectual positions. They're emotional commitments that shape how we experience reality. This means every belief you hold carries an emotional charge. Challenge someone's deeply held belief, and you're not just questioning their logic, you're threatening their emotional stability. No wonder people defend their beliefs so fiercely, even in the face of contradicting evidence. But false beliefs aren't just accidents of evolution. They're also tools our psychology uses to navigate an overwhelming world. Consider confirmation bias, our tendency to seek information that supports what we already think. This isn't a design flaw, it's a feature. Imagine if you questioned every single belief every single day. You never get out of bed. You'd spend all your time reevaluating whether chairs can hold your weight, whether food is safe to eat, whether the people around you are trustworthy. Confirmation bias allows us to operate efficiently by treating most of our beliefs as settled questions. The problem is that it also makes us incredibly resistant to new information that challenges what we already think. You see this everywhere. People who believe climate change is a hoax will find websites that support this view. People who think vaccines are dangerous will discover studies that seem to confirm their fears. People who believe their political opponents are evil will find endless examples of that party's worst behavior. They're not lying or being deliberately deceptive. They're using the same mental tools you use every day to make sense of complex information. They just started with different assumptions. Then there's our tribal nature. We're social animals who survived in groups, and groups require shared beliefs to function. Sometimes we believe things not because they're true, but because believing them keeps us connected to people we care about. How many family dinners have been saved by agreeing with Uncle Bob's questionable theories about traffic patterns? This groupthink isn't just politeness, it's a survival strategy. Humans who were cast out from their tribes usually died. So we evolved to automatically align our beliefs with the people around us, often without even realizing we're doing it. You can see this in real time on social media. People don't just express their existing beliefs online. They develop new beliefs based on what gets positive responses from their community. The approval of the group literally shapes what they think is true. Authority bias works the same way. We trust experts, leaders, and anyone who seems to know what they're talking about because, historically, following knowledgeable leaders kept us alive. If the tribal elder said a plant was poisonous, you didn't conduct your own experiments. You just avoided the plant. Today, this makes us vulnerable to anyone with credentials, confidence, or convincing presentation. We're more likely to believe medical advice from someone in a white coat, financial advice from someone in an expensive suit, or political analysis from someone with an impressive title, regardless of whether they actually know what they're talking about. And perhaps most powerfully, we believe things that feel right emotionally. If a story makes us feel understood, validated, or hopeful, we're more likely to accept it as true, even when the facts suggest otherwise. This emotional reasoning explains why people can look at the same evidence and reach completely different conclusions. They're not just processing facts, they're processing how those facts make them feel. A study that confirms your worldview feels more rigorous than one that challenges it. A news article that validates your fears seems more credible than one that calms them. Your brain is constantly asking, does this information help me feel safe, important, and connected? And if the answer is yes, it's much more likely to label that information as true. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche understood something crucial about false beliefs. Sometimes we need them. He argued that humans require certain illusions to function, beliefs about meaning, purpose, and our own importance that might not be objectively true, but help us get out of bed each morning. Nietzsche saw this clearly in religion. but it applies to secular beliefs too. The idea that hard work always pays off, that people generally get what they deserve, that your life has a special purpose, that love conquers all, that everything happens for a reason. These beliefs create what Nietzsche called necessary errors, false ideas that make life bearable. Without them, he argued, we'd be crushed by the weight of a random, meaningless universe. Think about the stories you tell yourself, that your career matters, that your relationships are special, that your struggles are building character, that your future will be better than your past. How many of these can you actually prove? And more importantly, would you want to live without them? This creates a profound dilemma. If some false beliefs are psychologically necessary, then the goal can't be to eliminate all false beliefs. The goal has to be something more nuanced. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Once we recognize that our minds are belief-generating machines that often get things wrong, we might think the solution is to eliminate all false beliefs, to become perfectly rational beings who only accept what can be proven. But that's impossible, and maybe it's not even desirable. First, it's impossible because our brains aren't designed for perfect accuracy. They're designed for useful approximations. Every belief you hold is built on assumptions, incomplete information, and cognitive shortcuts. Even your most basic perceptions, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, are constructions your brain creates, not direct representations of reality. Second, perfect rationality might not be desirable because it would be paralyzing. If you only believe things you could prove with absolute certainty, you believe almost nothing. You couldn't trust other people, make plans for the future, or find meaning in your experiences. You'd be technically correct, but practically useless. Our brains will always take shortcuts. We'll always fill in incomplete information with assumptions. We'll always be influenced by our emotions, our social connections, and our need for meaning. This isn't a bug. It's what makes us human. The goal isn't to become machines. It's to become better humans. This means learning to pause before we're certain, asking ourselves, what if I'm wrong about this? It means recognizing that our strongest convictions might be our most dangerous beliefs, because they're the ones we never think to question. But it's deeper than just questioning yourself. It's about understanding the mechanisms that create false beliefs in the first place. When you feel absolutely certain about something, that's often when you need to be most suspicious. Certainty is a feeling, not a fact. And feelings can be manufactured by confirmation bias, emotional reasoning, and social pressure. It means recognizing that the person who disagrees with you might not be stupid or evil. They might just be working from different information, different experiences, or different fundamental assumptions about how the world works. Their beliefs make perfect sense within their framework, just as yours make perfect sense within your framework. It means being comfortable with uncertainty, with saying, I don't know more often, with holding beliefs lightly, like hypotheses you're testing rather than absolute truths you must defend. And perhaps most importantly, it means understanding the difference between being wrong and being uncertain. You can be wrong with complete confidence, or you can be uncertain but still take action based on your best current understanding. Uncertainty doesn't mean paralysis, it means humility. But here's the paradox we end up with. We will always believe things that aren't true. Our minds are built to construct stories, find patterns, and create meaning, even when the raw facts don't support these constructions. This isn't a problem to be solved. It's the human condition to be accepted. Maybe the measure of wisdom isn't having all true beliefs. Maybe it's knowing which illusions are worth keeping, which beliefs serve us well even if they can't be proven, and which convictions we hold too tightly. Some false beliefs are harmful. They lead to bad decisions, damaged relationships, and unnecessary suffering. These are worth questioning, even when it's uncomfortable. But some false beliefs might be essential. They give us hope, motivate us to keep trying, and help us find meaning in chaos. These might be worth preserving, even if we can't prove them. The most honest thing any of us can say might be this: I believe many things. Some of them are probably wrong, and I'm okay with that mystery, because in the end, the alternative to believing some false things isn't believing only true things. The alternative is believing nothing at all. And that's no way to live a human life. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I avoid all false beliefs? Maybe the real question is, how do I live wisely with the uncertainty that some of my most cherished beliefs might be wrong? The answer isn't to stop believing. The answer is to believe more consciously, more humbly, and with more awareness of our own fallibility. Because in a universe full of mysteries we'll never solve, the courage to believe, carefully, thoughtfully, but genuinely, might be the most human thing we can do.